rock and roll.
Welcome to Pardon the Intermission, a podcast that takes a look at movies, TV, and all things entertainment from the past, the present, and the future. Remember to subscribe and like the podcast and give a review. This helps out the podcast and is greatly appreciated. Now on to the show.
Yes, hey everyone. Welcome to Pardon the Intermission. Pardon the Intermission. I'm Eric.
There you go. And I think I'm Jason. I'm pretty sure he's Eric because he's having a hard time talking tonight.
I'm having a hard time tonight. Yeah, I was like
Everything.
I was like starting to come out of the gate and the words just weren't there. My mouth wasn't moving.
Did you just suffer a brain fart and forget what the name of our show is?
You know what it was? In all honesty, it's kind of like I had to clear my throat. I mean, I still have to, but I have to kind of to clear my throat.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like trying to clear it, and it just, I don't know, got me off track. Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
I'm here. We're here.
We're here.
Let's do this.
You're here. I'm here. We're here.
Check out our social media.
Yes.
We are on X at PTI_podcast.
And you will find us on Facebook, Meta in parentheses, at Pardon the Intermission.
And also YouTube and Rumble. Look up Pardon the Intermission.
Yes.
Hey, we want to move on now to, we did a trailer reaction.
Yes.
We're going to, or I'm sorry, I should say we're going to do a trailer reaction. We watched a trailer.
Present tense. We're going to do a trailer
I know.
reaction.
I'm still thinking about these guys. Anyway, no, we're going to do a trailer reaction here. We're going to talk about the Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, yeah.
We watched the new trailer for the Thunderbolts. We basically, the Thunderbolts, you actually probably know more about this than I do. Do you know the characters? Did you read the comic books and stuff or anything?
Well, not so much the comics, but I mean, the characters aren't going to be very hard to understand because they come from different movies throughout the MCU's phases.
We already know these characters.
We already know these characters. So, for example, the movie's going to star...
well, now just run through them. Who are they?
Okay, well, first of all, you have David Harbour's character, the Red Guardian, who was in
Black Widow.
And then also you have Florence Pugh, who played
what's her character's name? I can't remember.
Natalia, I believe.
Natalia. I was going to say Natasha, but it's Natalia.
No, it's not. But then you also have the John Walker, Captain America.
Captain America, yeah.
From
Rejected Captain America.
Yeah, right. From the MCU streaming series. And then you have Bucky Barnes. Sebastian Stan comes back as Bucky Barnes. Another character in there that you may not be familiar with is the character of Ghost, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's where I saw her from.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, where do I know this person from? Okay.
That was Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then the other character I saw in there as well is...
Bob.
Huh?
There's Bob.
There's Bob. Bob is in there as well.
Who's Bob? Do you know anything about Bob?
I don't know anything about Bob.
He looks like he got shot, but he survived. He almost looks like a Wolverine where he heals quick or something.
Right, exactly. And then you also saw the character who was in Black Widow as well. She was the main villain. She was Taskmaster. She played the character of Taskmaster. So the one with the mask.
Taskmaster is now on the Thunderbolts?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I guess the idea... Okay, so from what I understand, though, these aren't necessarily the original Thunderbolts, though, right? From, like, comics. These are just... they're calling them the Thunderbolts, but they're kind of just pulling in these ancillary characters.
If I remember correctly, some of them are, but not all of them. A lot of these, you're right, Eric, are just ancillary characters from some of the other films scattered throughout the MCU.
It's like they were popular,
phases.
let's throw them in here.
Right, exactly. You know.
Do you know who the original ones were, though? From the...
I would have to do an internet search and go back and look again because one of the few there are some comics that I didn't read as much of, and the Thunderbolts, were some of the characters that I'm not as familiar with as some of the other Marvel characters. So yeah, I'm not going to get on here and say, oh yeah, I know a whole lot about them when in actuality I don't.
Yeah. So you're I mean, as far as between us, you're the comic book expert. So I have no. I mean, I have So I mean, I'm taking your word for it because I have no clue as far as who was in there, who wasn't. You saw the trailer. What'd you think about it?
I'm actually curious.
Okay.
Now, something I saw in there that was really interesting is there a scene in the teaser there where it shows Florence Pugh's character, Natalia. She's fighting a bunch of these guys in a hallway, and I said to myself, "Ooh, that's a nice homage."
Yeah.
That was an homage, I thought, to the scene in Iron Man 2 where Black Widow fights Justin Hammer's guards at his facility when she goes with Happy to find Mickey Rourke's character Whiplash.
Okay.
Remember he's held.
Man, you can remember all this stuff. I can't even remember. When you said that, I go, yeah, that does look familiar. I have no idea where it came from.
Yeah, so that scene in the hallway there where she's fighting those guards, that's a straight homage from the Black Widow's scene in Iron Man 2 where she's fighting all those guards in the hallway.
Okay, yeah.
In that big building that Justin Hammer owns.
Okay.
Where Whiplash is. So that I saw that was kind of interesting. Also, there's that scene towards the end of the teaser where you see Bucky riding on the motorcycle. Sure, he brakes hard. He pulls out that big gun that has that magnetic combustible disc that floats on the ground, sticks up underneath the undercarriage of a car, and blows up. Hello, that's from Captain America, Winter Soldier.
I was gonna say that looks familiar for sure.
Remember that scene where he blows up Nick Fury's car with him still in it?
Oh yeah,
and he shoots that weapon with the disc that spins on the ground and then pops up underneath the undercarriage.
Right. Well, not only that, but the scene with the Humvee flipping over, that's reminiscent of Iron Man 1. Remember when
in a way,
yeah. I mean, out in the desert essentially, and all of a sudden he's got the Humvee.
So I thought there were some nice little homages in there.
So there's some interesting scene selections. For sure.
So it's piqued my curiosity. I've read some back and forth on it about how good it's really going to be, but what'll be interesting to me to find out is how they develop these ancillary characters.
Yeah,
because like Ghost was, she was an important character in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but what else are they going to be able to do now that she's no longer able to phase in and out? Because if you remember in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the main problem with her character was that her body, the molecules in her body were not solid. They were constantly destabilizing. And the main premise of Ant-Man and the Wasp was, she was trying to she had to use this machine to basically stay alive, to stabilize her the molecules in her body, but it only did that for a certain amount of time. And she was trying to find a way to get into quantum mania to get into the quantum realm so that she could stabilize her body molecules altogether. And that was accomplished at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp when she was put in the machine there to stabilize her body. But now, what is her character going to be like after that happened?
They'll come up with some storyline, right, where she's able to she could learn to control it somehow, maybe.
Right,
she still had the ability, and she can control her. Maybe
you're
limited.
Right. Forgot about that. I didn't think about that
or something.
And then obviously you have the John Walker, Captain America from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's the one that interests me the most because
Kurt Russell's son, Wyatt Russell.
Yes, that's right. That's right. His character, man, he was a nasty SOB. Ended up being a nasty SOB in that Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
It's too bad. Here's what I'm looking at. This is coming out in 2025.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So it looks like, and then also we have Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Black Widow as well.
Well, she was also at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier when fake Captain America or reject Captain America was on his trial. I do remember that, and she's like, "Here's my card," and she gave him. So she's creating this team. So she's obviously going to be the leader or the kind of like the what's his face. What's his face with the eye patch? I can't think of his name right now.
Like Nick Fury?
Yeah, Nick Fury. I know. I'm like,
no, you're good. Don't worry about it.
So like Nick Fury was for the Avengers. So she's basically. So I guess this is kind of an outside, but this is more of an outside organization, right? The Thunderbolts. They're kind of like I don't know if they're mercenaries, but they work on the outside, the periphery, where the Avengers were more inner.
I guess the best way to describe them, Eric, is kind of think of them as they are cast-offs on the island of misfit toys.
Okay.
They are characters that basically have been forgotten.
Yeah.
And they feel like, they basically feel like they're not important.
Well, that's it, right? Natalia was saying, like, your life doesn't matter. In the beginning, she had the voiceover when you're watching it. It's like, do you ever feel your life doesn't matter? And
these are characters that are not only trying to find meaning in their personal lives, but they're trying to find meaning with the abilities that they have and what they were put on the earth to do. Are they supposed to be good? Are they supposed to be bad? And what do they do with their lives now?
It's almost, even though it's a different storyline, it's almost kind of an X-Men type of storyline.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
I think
right?
so.
Almost like the mutants, they're trying to figure their way through, and then you've got some that are, like you're saying, trying to figure out they're good, they're bad, they don't know, they're loved, they're hated. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I gotta tell you, I would love to be more excited about this, but I just don't have a lot of faith in Marvel right now, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I don't know. My one big gripe I would say is that with Bucky Barnes' character, I don't know. I like the way they had him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Actually, I really like the chemistry. I think they should have done a movie with those two. I don't know about him being Captain America, Falcon. But I wish they would have done a movie with those. They had really good chemistry.
Well,
I just like those characters together.
Oh yeah, I got you.
And the way they played off of each other. And I thought it would really be. I think that would have been a good movie. But with this Bucky Barnes kind of now, he seems like he's back to his old self, but maybe not a bad guy though, right? But he's kind of the lone soldier, the quiet, the.
Yeah, Bucky's pretty much kind of think of him as a rebel with a cause. He pretty much marches to the beat of his own drum. And it's not like he's one of these, his services is up to the highest bidder type of character, but he's pretty much made amends with what his life was and what it has become now. And so because in the early phases of the MCU, we know that he was the lifelong friend of Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Yeah.
Well, now that character is no longer there in the MCU, this is now about him not only, dealing with life after Steve Rogers, but dealing with life after
the Avengers.
Yeah, after Avengers.
After everything.
Yeah,
right?
and after Sam Wilson, a.k.a. Falcon, because he goes off and does his own thing and becomes the next Captain America.
So that's the thing. They didn't really show like who, or maybe I missed it, who the big bad was in this, did they? They really didn't give that up yet.
Yeah, not really. And
and that's going to be
Yeah.
And my point on that is this, that's going to be really going to dictate how the movie goes, because
most definitely. Yeah.
The problem that Marvel has, I think, and because comic books are different because you can do so much more and take stories in different places than I think movies are, in this sense that, after it's so hard after Endgame when you have Thanos, I don't know, it's like, can they keep ramping it up? They try to with like Loki and these TV series.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem to quite hit that height yet, where they have someone who is bad enough. Because that was kind of the tagline in here. Like, sometimes there's bad guys and sometimes there's worse guys.
Well,
right?
they were going that direction with Jonathan Major as Kang the Conqueror. And then Jonathan ran into all those personal problems. And,
but, even in Loki, I didn't care for his... I wasn't... I don't know. I just never got the sense, the threat. Thanos, you felt the threat. Go ahead.
Well, and the reason why is because Loki is because his character was never a true villain in the sense of in the definition of the word. Because in the Thor comics, Loki, he's a bad guy, but he's a whimsical bad guy in a way. He's a trickster, and even though he has devious plans, he's not meant to be your prototypical badass villain.
No. Loki I like, but I'm talking about Kang in those.
Oh, you're talking about Kang. I'm sorry.
The way that Kang was portrayed, and I know that Kang is more of an intellectual villain, right?
Kang is more intellectual, but he's also in some ways a little bit more despotic than what Thanos is. Because Kang basically sees him. Kind of think of him as Darkseid. You're familiar with the DC character Darkseid, right? Okay, we'll get into that later.
Okay.
Kang basically sees everybody as being underneath him.
Okay.
And because he is so powerful, he's more powerful than he was even more powerful than Thanos. Because he views himself as being basically a god, that's what makes him so despotic and so tyrannical.
Do you think that a bad guy? I know we're kind of getting off topic, but we'll get back on the trailer in a second, folks. But do you think that the bad guy can that really carry a bad guy though? Thanos was a bad guy, but you found out he had a mission, right?
Yes,
there was a mission to what he was doing, and he thought he was doing good, and that was the interesting twist.
It was,
and that's what made him, I think, so much more. I mean, at least when I saw him, and I wasn't familiar with the comics, but when I saw him in the movies, that's what made him really as complex character. That he could have such a force and cause such death and destruction. Yeah. But he thought he was doing it for a good reason.
Yeah.
With Kang, and maybe it's because of the way that they brought him in. Maybe they brought him in. And I know his character's not even being used now, but when they brought him in Loki, maybe they didn't really bring him in the way they should have, because he just never felt. I mean, he felt kind of like, I don't know, he felt I don't know. He was almost like, I'll tell you this. Let me just.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think of how to describe him, but he was almost like a bad trickster. Like in other words, he was the opposite of Loki, but he never felt like this. I always heard this Kang was this Kang the Conqueror. He's this real. I mean, like you're saying, I always heard he's worse than Thanos. But when I saw him in Loki, I was like, okay. I mean, and I know that was the lighter version of Kang, and he said there's going to be more versions that come.
Because he played one of the different variants.
But I think it's a problem with the multiverse too, is that even though you see a different version of a character, to the viewer, to me at least, I still see the original one I was first introduced to. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I had been introduced to the bad one and then maybe saw the lighter version, it would have been different.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But you know, just the way it hit, it's just like, oh, he doesn't seem that bad.
Even though Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is really awful, Kang had more presence and more screen time in that movie, and so you start to get a better feel as
I don't remember. I mean, I watched that, and I gotta say,
because the whole movie is a galactic pile of rubble is what it is. To be polite about it, but yeah,
and maybe too at that time too, wasn't he starting to have his troubles when that movie came out?
Yeah, he was.
So I think maybe you know, like for me, I probably just didn't really invest any time. Like, oh, he's not going to be in it anyway, so
yeah,
going forward probably.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's you know, coming back around. So
we're talking about the big bad. So like, who do you think could be? Do you know anybody that would be the big bad in this? I mean, is it what was the name of the guy in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the last one? The engineer, right? Was his name?
Yeah, the engineer.
Because remember, they were trying to hype him up to be the new bad guy. Do you think he could possibly come in?
Possibly. Maybe. It could be. I don't know. It could be a couple of different characters. I'm trying to think of some characters some antagonists from previous MCU projects that survived that we still don't know anything about. But nobody's really popping to mind right now. So that's
I kind of hope that's the thing too that I think they're missing is that was the one thing about Thanos is that you know he was like I said he was complex. We talked about his story, but in looking at him just from the out, just looking without knowing his story, he was like the bad guy, right? In other words, he's you know you're seeing him for what he is, just his presence, and I mean you see just how ruthless he is.
Right.
Whatever reasons he's doing it for, but he's ruthless. I mean, that's what they need. They need like just a good bad guy. I don't want to know about all the politics. I don't want to know about all the inner workings and some guy that's pulling these strings. I don't want to know about that. I just give me a good bad guy.
Right.
I don't know. So that was my point. Do you think that they could have someone like that to drop into this movie?
I'm sure they could, but just like you, don't have any idea as to who it could be. And like again, we didn't see anybody definitive in the teaser there that we could point out and say, "Oh, I remember that person." So, yeah, we're just gonna.
Nobody you think that they introduced, huh?
Well,
they've killed almost everybody off, except the engineer. Much. The engineer is the only one they haven't killed off, right?
Yeah, they haven't killed off the engineer. Let's see. What about from Spider-Man? Well, it could be something from Doctor Strange's realm. No, I don't think they would dip into the Doctor Strange realm to do that. So, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I'm not as excited as this because I don't know. I didn't get anything, at least from this trailer, that showed me that it was going to be that I was going to hop back on the Marvel train here.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, even the shows, I think the two is, I think what it is too, is that the shows are also kind of getting a little long in the tooth, I guess. Did you say it's kind of getting a little too much of the same and the quality's going down and people are like, I don't want to have to watch Loki and try to understand this multiverse to figure out the next movie or the next show.
Feeling drawn out a little bit, yeah.
Because this is the only one, is this the only one, what else is coming out? They have Captain America. And that's coming out in February, I think, right?
Captain America Brave New World comes out in February.
And then they have this one.
And then there's this one.
I think that's it for right now on the slate, right?
Well,
is there a Spider-Man?
There is going to be another Spider-Man film coming out. It's going to be a couple years, though. There was the one film that just came out a few months ago. It was another sequel. I just forgot the name of it. What was the Marvel film that came out that had the TVA in it?
The Marvel film that had the TV.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Deadpool Wolverine. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, okay.
So, I mean, maybe there's a possibility they could pull from Deadpool Wolverine characters, but I don't think they will. So, but
Or
yeah.
do you think they're going to start introducing X-Men maybe? And
X-Men is going to start being introduced. Yeah.
And then they got the Fantastic Four coming out.
Fantastic Four is coming out, although we're told that's not going to be...
But they're not tied into this, right? They're not tied into the...
Allegedly. That's what
Yeah.
they say. I have to feel like they're going to tie it in somehow. But...
So yeah, I don't
then
know.
you have then the other two Avengers films that are going to be coming out, which they went back and scrapped Kang Dynasty because that's no longer in the works. So the next Avengers film coming out is going to have Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom.
We think.
You know.
We don't know. There's been a lot of rumor too where
he's been cast as Doctor Doom, so we'll see.
Has he? For sure?
Yeah, for sure. It's etched in stone. Robert Downey Jr. is playing Victor Von Doom.
Oh my gosh.
And I think
why?
the title of one of the next Avengers
Why?
film is going to be Avengers Doomsday or something like that.
Oh my god.
I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember if that's the correct subtitle or name. But so yeah, you're right, Eric. So and you can tell how difficult it is for us to
Are
keep
you
track of
excited
everything.
about that?
You know what? No, I'm not excited.
Okay.
Because, I love the character. Fantastic Four is one of I have 5 favorite comic books of all time. Batman is my number 1 favorite. Hulk would be my second favorite. Fantastic Four would be my third. My fourth favorite would be Punisher.
Okay.
And then my fifth favorite comic of all time would probably be Spider-Man, or no, X-Men.
Okay.
But you know what? As much as I love Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom is one of those unique characters where, I mean, if you mess him up royally, you're going to get hell from the fan base. And I didn't like the casting of Downey as Victor Von Doom because I just don't understand it. You know,
same here.
Because because he's Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He's Iron Man. And so I tried to just ponder, okay, you spent billions of dollars on hyping him up as Tony Stark and having him in your projects for a 15-year time span. And now you want to you kill off his character, which I understood, I got. But now you're bringing the actor back to play a different character. It's going to be hard for people to relate to him as Doctor Doom when they relate to him as Iron Man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only reason why I didn't agree with the casting is because he's Tony Stark. It would be no different than if, Michael Keaton came back to reprise a role in Batman, but instead of playing Bruce Wayne / Batman, he came back to play Harvey Dent or the Joker or Mr. Freeze. It's just not the same. It doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when the film does come out, I'm going to go see it just because of the curiosity I have about Downey being Victor Von Doom. Do I think the actor can pull off the character? Most definitely.
Sure.
Do I agree with him being cast in it because of the character? No.
Unless they're going to try to do some kind of multiverse thing, and it's like, he's kind of, I don't know how they've had him in the comic books, but maybe they may try to do some shifting, of the storyline here, where in some alternate universe he was Tony Stark, and then he became other character.
Well, there is the comic line Secret Wars, and Doctor Doom's character was in Secret Wars, and he was one of the focal points of the plot of the comic series Secret Wars, which brought together the Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Basically, all the Marvel characters you wanted to see, in addition to Avengers, all crammed into one comic series in Secret Wars.
Okay.
So there could be some multiverse variations,
some
finagling going on here. But yeah, we're just speculating here, so we don't know yet.
Okay, and we took that long detour in the Marvel verse here to get all the way back to now Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Are you going to go see it in the theater? What do you think? Are you kind of excited about it? Are you like, well, I'll check it out, but
I'm a little excited. I'll go check it out. I still have not quite a year. It comes out May 2025. So there's still a long time for me to contemplate whether I'm going to go see it or not. If I do see it, it's going to be because I want to see Bucky Barnes in action one more time.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite characters, I got to admit.
Yeah. Again, because like all the others, he's such a complex character.
Well, and I'm going to say, the other character that could be a favorite character could be Reject Captain America, John Walker.
Or
why I say that is because I think the way that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, the way that they left his character, and the things that happened in that, it's going to be, I don't know. He's one most compelling to me to see where he's going, where he's been in between the timeline and where he's going. That's more compelling to me, I think, for that movie than really any of the other characters.
I was just going to not a villain, but a character just popped to mind that I was going to give a consideration to, and that is Neymars Submariner, who was in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
But then I got to thinking, well, Namor was one of the original villains of the Fantastic Four. Until, Namor decided, well, they're not really my villains, they're not really my enemies after all, and then he eventually became their ally. But in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Namor is the villain in that movie.
Yeah.
So maybe wonder, well, maybe they might have him, but it doesn't make sense because again, he was in the Fantastic Four series.
Yeah.
So and then he crossed over into Avengers comics and everything. So
this will probably be one of those characters that they've alluded to in some of the movies or one of the movies somewhere down the line, just mentioned or just briefly saw.
Yeah, probably.
And then he's probably my guess and the way they kind of went on this was that they're kind of probably some kind of shadow government action going on.
Probably
because in the trailer they did try to get him together and kill him. Essentially, at least that's what they're leading us to believe in the trailer.
We also know that there are still some factions of Hydra that exist out there still. So who's not to say that we won't see a Hydra character come out of the woodwork here and be the main villain.
That would be fun.
So yeah, it would.
Yeah.
And
all right.
So yeah,
might be hope. All right,
there could be hope. Could be hope.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. To me,
pique
I don't
my
know.
curiosity.
I don't know if I'm gonna see it in the theater, but I will. I'll definitely check it out.
Okay.
When it comes out on streaming,
Tell you what,
right?
you go see it first, and then I'll listen to your recommendation.
You listen to my review. You go, I'll sit here and listen to your review, and then I'll check it out. All right. Well, hey, folks. Yes, that's the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Please check out our social media. If you can, please rate the show. It helps us out in the algorithms.
Absolutely. And don't forget, you can follow us on social media. You can find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at PTI_podcast. And you can find us on Meta at Pardon the Intermission.
Formerly known as Facebook.
That's right.
And check out Pardon the Intermission on YouTube and
Rumble.
So you guys take care out there. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace out. God bless.